Heroes created by people's imagination live and commit their acts of bravery in our program, The Legend of Kazakhs. Legends are an invaluable cultural heritage passed down from generation to generation. Since ancient times, the Kazakh people were inextricably linked with their natural surroundings. It's not surprising that the works of folklore, customs, and traditions testify to the deep morality, spirituality, and wisdom of the people in relationship to their surrounding world. Seeking protection, human beings deified and worshipped natural elements, animals, and plants. That's how worship of trees started. It involved a lot of rituals, superstitions, and signs. The individual trees are generic, and they're considered to be the abode of spirits. They possess magical properties. Beauty, nobility, majesty, and power of the tree is representing to the people the symbol of eternity, a life force, and divine protection. The revered sacred trees can be found in all parts of Kazakhstan. Rituals were performed near sacred trees. Over the springtime, the trees are decorated with ribbons and sprinkled with mare's milk. People prayed for wealth and well-being to be sent down. These trees are Turanga trees, which grow in the National Park Altyn Yemil. Many legends have come to our days about these amazing trees. Come and listen. Once upon a time, there was a time when people lived in peace and harmony with each other, and there was no malice, no hatred between them. That is, until one day, when on the full moon, two wonderful babies were born in a village. Time is transient, and the years flew by like the swift-winged bird. Two baby girls became surprisingly beautiful. One was fresh and radiant as a sunny day and a May flower. Her name was Kunsulu. The other girl was Taronga. She was beautiful like the moon, with eyes full of starlight. And nothing could compare to her beauty, not the night sky nor the mysterious moon. Once Kunsulu was sent to the blacksmith by her mother to patch a leaky copper pitcher. Bektas was the name of the blacksmith, and he was known to be the most powerful and strong Jigit in the village. She came to the blacksmith and handed him the pitcher. And when she looked at his tanned, manly face, something suddenly sparked inside of her chest. It was as if hot coals were poured on her heart. Her cheeks blushed, and the blacksmith himself looked at the girl's face. Suddenly, his strong hands weakened, and he almost dropped the pitcher brought to him by the girl. The handsome blacksmith looked at the girl and couldn't take his eyes off her. Like a flexible deer, Kunsulu jumped out of the blacksmith's shop, and Bektas looked at her as she was walking away. A rumor regarding the strong love between Kunsulu and Bektas spread around the village. Turanga also heard this rumor. She decided to make fun of the lovers. Of course, she is not less beautiful than Kunsulu. In fact, she's even more beautiful. She would make the blacksmith forget about Kunsulu. Turanga wore her most beautiful dress and adorned expensive jewelry. She decided not to go to the blacksmith with empty hands and took a broken buckle from the belt and left the tent. The girl came to the blacksmith and spoke with him in her sweet, honey-like voice. She glanced at him with her sparkling eyes and languidly lowered her long jet-black lashes. But Bektas didn't even look at the beautiful girl. Instead, he fixed the buckle and started another job. Turanga left the blacksmith's shop with anger in her heart. Nobody had ever remained indifferent to her beauty, only this blacksmith. And love, along with anger, flared in her heart. Turanga cried all night long, not knowing what to do. As soon as the morning dawned, she decided to go to the old witch that lived across the river. Turanga's dress got wet when she was crossing the river. She tore and scratched her gentle hands and feet with the thorns until she reached the shabby tent where the old woman lived. "What has brought such a beauty to my house?" asked the old woman in her muffled voice with her furrowed, thick gray eyebrows. "Help me. I want to separate two lovers, Consulu and the blacksmith Bektas, and I will give you all of my jewelry." The girl cried and pointed to their gold earrings and bracelets. The old woman's eyes flushed with interest. "It will not be so easy," the old woman coughed. "True love is stronger than stone cliffs." "Take beauty and youth from Consulu, turn her to an old woman, and the blacksmith will love me." "I'll try," said the old woman, and she held out her wrinkled, dry hands. "Give me your jewelry and leave." Turanga took off her jewelry quickly and put them in the witch's hands. The girl returned to the village and waited. But the day passed, and then another, and Consulu remained as beautiful as ever. Rage seized Turanga. The sly old woman had deceived her. She jumped out of the house and ran to the witch. When Turanga opened the felt mat and walked into the tent, she saw the old woman sitting near the hearth, warming her hands. "You tricked me, you deceitful old woman! Give me back my jewelry!" she shouted and stamped her feet. "You didn't deprive Consulu of her youth and beauty!" The witch threw her hands up and shouted loudly so that the walls of the yurt started to shake. "How dare you violate our agreement, girl? I said I'll try. Consulu didn't lose her beauty because their love is pure and strong. This has destroyed all of my charms." "What kind of a witch are you then, if their love is stronger than your charms? Stay here with nothing, no expensive jewelry, without the beauty of Consulu." Taronga ran up to the witch and pulled the bracelets off of her wrists and the earrings from the old woman's ears. The witch shook with anger. Her cat eyes flashed like lightning, and a black mist crept out of the cracks, hissing like 1,000 snakes. "Oh no! For the strength I spent, I'll take my money. I'll take your beauty, Turanga," the furious witch screamed. Frightened, she ran out of the tent and rushed headlong home. But suddenly, her black hair began to turn white, and her back hunched over. Her arms and her legs became so weak that she could barely walk home. Turanga embraced the young tree with large spreading crown and moaned. The girl's skin became coarse and covered with deep cracks, and her hands became dry. The enchantment of the witch was transmitted to the wood. The tree cracked and the leaves fell off, and the trunk of the tree began to curl up like Turanga. After a while, the people walking near the river were surprised and wondered, where did that old twisted ancient tree come from? Sometimes in the early morning when the sun is rising, the water droplets appear on the leaves, rolling down like tears. This legend is passed down from mouth to mouth, and with time, the people began to call this unusual tree Turanga. The rare desert poplar, Turanga, is under state protection. This relic tree survived the Ice Age. The individual trees are more than 500,000 years old. A sacred ancient tree, Turanga, is growing in the National Reserve Altyn Yamil, which was revered by all the Kazakhs of all ages, and before them by the ancient Turks. Another name for this sacred tree is Joly Turanga, or Turanga calling for a breeze. It is even in a quiet, calm weather, shaking their branches from side to side, as if calling for the wind. Even in the hottest weather, there is cool shade under these trees. The Turanga trees are the only kind of trees that grow in the desert zone of Kazakhstan and provide a haven for birds and wild animals. The main species of Turanga trees in Kazakhstan grow on sands and sandy soil. The Turanga can be considered to be one of the most drought-resistant, heat-resistant, and salt-tolerant tree species. They grow even in places where the soil is covered with a layer of salt. The Turanga also brings salt with water from the soil. The tree is up to 15 meters tall with a spreading tent-like crown. The uneven curved trunks of the tree and their bark are of particular interest. It is thick, loose, with deep cracks. Bizarrely twisted trunks are often hollow, and this is where birds can make their nests. The Turanga tree blossoms before giving out leaves. The root system is shallow, mostly on the surface, and the highly branched forms the thicker roots. It grows relatively slowly. The Turanga tree is unusual because it has leaves of different shapes. If we take the branches of the lower and upper parts of the crown, it seems as if they are of different trees. That is why it is called an Asiatic poplar. It is called multifaceted. The best soil for the Turanga are considered to be sand and silt. The Turanga multiplies vegetatively. The Turanga tree tolerates sedimentation and the burial in sand. On the listed part of the trunk, the adventitious roots are formed. The Turanga has strong root system, and it keeps the groundwater, which is very important for the settlement in desert zones. Until today, this tree is a symbol of the eternal renewal of life. Dead in the winter, it is transformed with the first warm days, and they bloom, giving out new life. It was a widely spread belief that the trees themselves possess divine power, so people always turn to them, looking for protection and patronage. The Turanga groves are mesmerizing, and imagination can easily take you a few hundred years back, to the time when the trees were young. In the next program, we will tell you about the origin of the legend of the fancy-colored Akhtal Mountains, which were created by Almighty God when He stirred the palette of colors and accidentally spilled the vivid colors on white mountains.